Hello, everyone. I do believe we are live. So, welcome along. My name is Joy Langley, and my special guest is Crystal Almeida. Now, Crystal, did I pronounce your surname wrong? Because I get it wrong all the time.
Yes, you did, Joy. It is Almeida.
Fabulous. Almeida. Okay, I'll try and say it with a bit more of an accent. Why not? But my special guest today, is someone who I really admire because there are many people in this world who say they want to make a difference. But how many people actually put themselves out and do something? So, um, I want to make sure that we've got the chat going as well and people can see us and everything else. I've got to make sure that's happening. Hopefully, we'll get some people showing up here so I can make sure this is happening. Because when you're doing new things in this world, and Crystal will back me up on this, everything and anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Right.
Okay. So I've kind of had a lovely morning where I've been trying to sort things out, being very, very smart, but perhaps not being as smart as I ought to be. So I do hope this is going out and you can see us, guys. And if you can at some point, just drop something in the chat so that we can see what's happening as well. That'd be really, really helpful for me. I'm just making sure that, yes, right. I'm getting someone showing up there, I think, which is good. This is all really weird for me because it's a funny old day, isn't it? We do these things and things go right and things go wrong. And I'm just making sure that I have people in the audience too. That's my main thing, that we can see people. So yes, I'm getting some really clear feedback from Rita. Rita, thank you. Yes, we can see you. Yay. So today's special guest, yes, some of you already know Crystal Almeida. Of course, I've met her in the last year, and she is such a go-getter. I mean, I've never met anyone with so much, I would say, personality. I've looked into Crystal's history. She doesn't know half the things that I know about her, but today we're going to find out how she got involved in 18 years working for non-profit companies and then made the switch to becoming her own CEO, her own entrepreneur of the Mums Link. And the Mums Link is an amazing network. It's growing. I'm going to ask you some questions around that too, Crystal. But I'm going to jump in at a very strange point, Crystal. Now, you have a title, okay, which might be familiar to you. It's called the Bake Sale Queen. Now, when I say that to you, Crystal, what comes to mind?
Oh my goodness. Me sitting behind a fold out table with 25 cents, asking people for 25 cents for Rice Krispie squares that I baked, or I didn't really, you don't bake. And because I wanted to raise money to make poverty history. And I
Wow.
believed by asking for 25 cents and fundraising and creating awareness for whatever cause it was at the time, I just picture young Crystal truly believing through bake sales and fundraising and creating awareness that I was going to change the world.
Amazing. I cannot believe that someone so young would feel that. It's incredible. I mean, if you were to try and put an age on it, what age comes to mind for you?
You know what? It's actually very clear. So I was a young teenager. It started younger, but I was a young teenager where it really hit home and where I went full throttle into volunteering and passionate about any social justice issue and doing advocacy work. My mom was diagnosed with non Hodgkin's lymphoma. My parents had just separated, went through a pretty intense divorce, and I was just going through so much as a young child that my cup was empty. I just needed to pour into others so I could fill my own cup. So, Joy, when we hear that statement, you can't pour from an empty cup. Sometimes I challenge that because when I was young and I was going through really rough time and my mom was battling cancer, the only thing that would fill my cup and make me feel better was actually paying it forward and filling other people's cups and knowing that I was paying it forward and supporting other people. So, definitely from a young age, I started volunteering, but really when I started to full throttle be consumed by advocacy work was as a young teenager.
And you know what, Crystal? The whole caring, sharing, wanting to help the world. I mean, having a mum with an illness like that is pretty devastating. So I think there are a lot of children who are with parents who have quite serious illnesses, and they become like the mums and the dads. They take that role on, and they feel that kind of sense of love and caring for the person who's not well. So I hear that you know that's probably been part of what's made you this. I call it a flag waving rebel, basically, Crystal. Desperately trying to get rid of this comment on the screen, but I'm going to have to just fumble through that. It's getting on my nerves, but I will work that one out, Crystal. A little bit distracted. Just say, Joy, pay attention. Just be teacher and say, Joy, pay attention. So being this flag waving person who cares about the world, you've got some pretty big mantras on the go. I mean, the most recent one is around this idea of eliminating um, competition and having collaboration. So it's collaboration over competition. You've got some really good mantras. And I don't know back then how you managed to convince your school friends to join you in baking all these cakes and selling it.
Well, you know what? It's like anything. When you're passionate about something, that passion is contagious and it exudes. It's like it's just radiating off of you. And so when I tell female entrepreneurs, that should be what you bring to the forefront of your business. You want people, you want clients, you want community, you want to grow your business, your brand awareness. Well, bring passion to the forefront. Bring the passion of your purpose and your why. Like use that in everything you communicate about your business. And so same thing went when I wanted to make poverty history. And it's so funny that you say, how did I rally my friends and family? Oh my goodness, Joy, did I ever, right? Anytime I had an event or a fundraising or I needed somebody to bake some baked goods so I could sell, I'd go to my friends and family, right? And they just saw the passion. They knew how passionate I was, and I believed so wholeheartedly that I was going to change the world, and I had a special gift that they believed it too, right? And so, that's my biggest tip that I always tell everybody. You want someone to believe in your brand, to become a client of yours, to join your community. Show them the passion, show them the purpose and the why.
And you're the kind of friend that I think I would have wanted at school, Crystal. Not that I got into a lot of trouble, but you probably have kept me out of trouble. But I'm getting a feeling you'd have got me into trouble. I'd have been in front of the headmaster or the headmistress every single day. And I have to say, well, blame her. She's the one that did it. She's the one that did it. Nothing to do with me. But but that whole energy, kind of social justice, caring about human beings, you took that in later on, sorry, let's get my teeth in properly. Later on in life, when you then went on to further studies, you used that as well. So I think you did politics and sociology.
Yes, I did undergrad in political science. And actually, I was so fortunate enough, Joy, when, people ask like, Crystal, how did you go to West Africa and how did you get to do all these cool things? And the answer is simple. I volunteered. I volunteered so much, like you name it. Any organization on my university campus as an undergrad student, I volunteered everywhere for every little nonprofit that I could, get involved in. And I didn't realize by volunteering and immersing myself in these organizations as a volunteer that I was building so many skills, resume building skills, that I was building so many connections. I was networking with the right people that I was offered jobs before I was finished my undergrad. And so that's how I landed in West Africa. I also did some work. I stopped my undergrad, Joy, and I started working for Mines Action Canada and did some international work for an organization to ban landmines and advocacy work against victim activated weapons in the world. So specifically landmines and cluster munitions. And this all came through the power of starting to volunteer for organizations.
You're like a powerhouse, I think, Crystal. And the big question that's coming to my mind as we're talking, you're making me feel quite exhausted, to be quite honest. I've got to be, I
Joy.
feel really quite tired. So I'm just wondering, when do you sleep? When did you sleep back then? Because it just sounds like it was all go, 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 go. Any opportunity that comes up, Crystal's there, And having you on the team, I think you'd have been very, very much loved because you're a doer. You get things done.
Right. I am. I'm an executor for sure. I get an idea and I execute. and I stay on track. And you're so right. Like Joy, I remember in my undergraduate degree, so I went to West Africa. I came back. It was a life changing experience. I spent some time in Burkina Faso, a West African country, and I did a qualitative research project on why men in this one area choose not to test for HIV. And it was absolutely incredible. I lived in a rural village with a family of 12, life changing, worked at a local HIV clinic. And I came back and I'm like, I'm fundraising for this community. I'm going to bring awareness. I want to fundraise $25,000 and I want to send this overseas. And I was like, I don't know, how old was I at the time? Like 22 years old. And I did exactly that. I fundraised enough money on my campus to bring Stephen Lewis to come speak at our event, which cost $25,000 at the time. And I still raised $25,000 to send over to West Africa for this project. And it's crazy because I had the goal in mind, the prize in mind, and nothing was going to stop me. And I think that applies to everything I do, whether it's business or awareness raising or whatever it is. That's kind of how I've always done it. So you're right. I don't stop. I'm an executor. Um,
You are an
and I'm tenacious. I
executor.
won't give up. I won't stop.
And so, going back, I think going back to childhood, because I've got that therapy thing on the go as well, Crystal, beyond the emotional intelligence coaching stuff that I do. It's coming from a therapeutic perspective as well. That's my background, 18 plus years doing that. This whole thing about a child being so driven, I still can't get over it. I'm wondering, did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have a sister, one sister. We're 3 years apart. She also does really incredible work. She works in the mental health field, and does, suicide prevention and awareness training.
Right. So two amazing super sisters. What can we say? What can we say? Okay. Well, let's look at the your world of the non-profit world, because my introduction really, Crystal, is that there are a lot of people in this world that want to do things. I'm one of them. But do we actually do anything? So you're one of the rare people that I've met that has actually we call it put your money where your mouth is. You've gone out and you've done something about it. Now, within non-profits, it probably sounds like a strange word, doesn't it? Are you working for a company where they don't pay you? Are you working for a company where, they believe that money's a dirty word? What does non-profit mean? Perhaps you can clarify it for us, because, I sort of know the answers a bit, but our audience might not.
Yeah, well, do you work for a company that you don't get paid for? That's a funny question. Right away when you ask that, I'm like, well, nonprofit work is not the best paying job. Let's put that out there, but it is the most rewarding. So we oftentimes will say, like I would say, it feeds my soul, not necessarily my belly, right? Like it does, and it's totally worth it. And I wouldn't have changed a thing. My 18 years in nonprofit sector got me to where I am today. And I know the question gets asked a lot, like, why would you leave an 18-year career to start your own business? And a couple of reasons. Number one, the nonprofit sector, like every other sector, females in leadership positions are far and few between. And I know I was a natural born leader. I know I have great leadership qualities and skills. And I wanted to be in that position. I wanted to start my own nonprofit. I wanted to, this was always something that was kind of a little fire inside of me. And I found myself in the middle of a pandemic, Joy, working. Okay, no, hold on. Let me rewind. It's kind of a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say you have jumped over a couple of steps. Even I know that from my notes.
Yes, yes.
Crystal, come on, let's rewind.
Okay, let's
Go back a
rewind.
bit. Yeah.
Okay, so how did we get here today? So, why the mom link? How did I start the mom link? Why did I leave an 18-year career? It was the middle of a pandemic. I had actually left my 18-year career and put a pause on it because of motherhood. I was so passionate about nonprofit work, Joy. And then all of a sudden, I became a mom. And I was like, I'm complete. Motherhood has completed me. I don't need activist Crystal. Let's kick her out the door. Forget about her. And I literally threw in the towel to my 18-year career. And I said, this is what's completing me. This is what, I was waiting for in life. And so
I
I,
I suspect at that point, I'm going to jump in at that point, Crystal, because this whole thing about motherhood and identity and, you know, motherhood, is it meant to fill every part of me? And of course it does. It's a fulfilling job. We bring children into the world, we look after them, all of that. But we seem to forget that before them, there was Crystal. It wasn't just mum. And I know that in a way, I was a bit snobbish when I had my son. I didn't really want to mix with the mums down at the playground because I didn't see myself as a mum. I saw myself as this person that just got things done. And the mums that I saw, I thought they don't do much, which is a terrible thing to say, Crystal. Terrible thing to say. But, it's, I think I felt my identity being pulled in all kinds of different directions. And if someone said mum, every single mum turned around. Like we all looked around, didn't we? We're just this generic term, mum. So there's got to be more to you than just being a mum. And yeah, you've got two beautiful sons, and you spent, I think, 4 years traveling, doing the mum thing,
Yes.
being a mum and trying to be fulfilled in different ways. But, so I've sort of taken you off the track there, but I think that was an interesting thing about the way that motherhood drops into the middle of women's careers. And
You get rid of
really,
your you
for
get
what
rid of your identity, right, Joy?
I
I
was
feel
going to
like
say, derail. I was
I
going to say
did.
derails it.
I didn't want anything else. I thought that was my only identity. I was so happy with it. And then all of a sudden, fast forward 4 years later, I have 2 kids and I don't know who I am. I'm completely lost. I have no purpose. I have no identity. And I find myself crying to my husband saying, I want the bake sale queen back. I want her back. I want to find her. I want that passion. I want that purpose. I want that fire back. And I don't know what to do. And then I went back to the nonprofit and worked in housing. And I'm like, I'm not feeling it. She's not back. I lost her. I
You
got rid
lost
of her.
her.
Now I want her back. And
Yeah.
the spark wasn't there anymore. And I couldn't figure it out.
Do you think,
And
Crystal, with
yeah,
all of this stuff around mums and babies and finding our identities, would it be appropriate to put the word depression on there somewhere? Do you
yeah,
think it might?
for sure. When you get rid of your identity and you have no clue who you are outside of being a mom, and your whole worth and value is on how good of a cook you are and making your babies not cry and can you produce milk and like your worth and your value is everything to do with how great of a mom you are, right? So for sure, for sure. And when I couldn't feel that purpose outside of motherhood, I was definitely, going through my own emotional roller coaster and sadness and didn't know the direction and then the pandemic hit, Joy. And this is all during the pandemic. And now I'm isolated. I'm at home. I have no identity. I'm just a mom with a top-notch bun, sweatpants, drinking coffee at home with no identity and purpose. I was going nuts. And we were locked down here in Canada, right? Doors shut, 2 years. It was nuts. And so I got on this. I actually, what happened, Joy, is I reached out to my girlfriend and I was like, let's become micro influencers. Let's show our shameless, motherhood journey to other moms in the world to make them feel less alone. And I was tired of seeing the Pinterest perfect picture of what motherhood looks like because it's not that, right? And so we started that. And me and my girlfriend started something called Shameless Mamas. And we started doing exactly that. And then she came to me and she's like, Crystal, there's this social audio app we need to get on. It's called Clubhouse. And so we did. We got on this social audio app, just like audio rooms on LinkedIn. And we started talking about women, motherhood, anything to do with women empowerment. And one thing led to the next. And we started talking about this concept of collaboration over competition. And we started hosting rooms that were called just Women Supporting Women, Connection, Collaboration over Competition. And
Yeah, I can imagine women just sort of sneaking in there, like thinking, is this true? Can it possibly be true that women aren't like fighting each other and being catty and, wanting to size me up or pull me down? Because there really is an element of women feeling possibly unsafe amongst women. It has been that way. And it's interesting that you decided that you were just going to pull back that curtain and just come clean and say, guys, this is not what this room is all about. It's the opposite of everything that you have ever believed. I can imagine a lot of women disbelieving that and
Oh,
thinking, really? Really?
absolutely. And you know what, Joy? I would be a liar to say that when I started talking about collaboration over competition and women supporting women, like truly walking the talk, I was still unlearning myself, rewiring my brain myself. And you know what's cool about what we did? And when women, you're right, women started to trickle in and wanted to see what this was all about.
Of
Can women
course.
really like collaborate over competition, right? And what we found was women actually want to be in a space like this. Women actually want to be in a world where women are linking arms, supporting one another, celebrating each other. We want this. And I say, Joy, all the time, women have been competing and have, you know, what you said, like, you know, we find women to compete and compare and, you know, be jealousy and all of this stuff, which holds us back as women. Um, I don't believe it's our fault. Like, ladies, if you're listening, if you've ever felt jealous or competitive or not happy for another woman's success, right? We've all felt that way and ever thought like, why her and not me? Well, I've been there too, and I was there, but that doesn't belong to us. So, like, literally do this, Joy, and say, that world, take it back. It doesn't belong to me.
Wow, I have to do it. Just let me just take a pause here. Just to that. So Crystal says, Joy, just take that coat off and take a pause. Thank you.
Yes,
I feel
right?
so much better.
It doesn't belong to us. Women have been pitted against each other in our world. Look at social media. We're constantly forced to compare ourselves with the next woman, you know, or there's this comparison culture. Women don't have the same opportunities. There's less opportunities for females. We talked about that in the nonprofit sector. There's not as many leadership roles or women put in leadership positions. So we've
And
had
you
to
too,
fight for
Crystal. And you,
opportunities.
Crystal, as well, within that whole 18 years of being in the non-profit organizations, well, organizations plural, at some point you should have risen up the ranks, shouldn't you? Despite the fact that you know, had the fortunate to have like very, very long maternity leaves in Canada. I think it's, did you say it's like 2 years?
Years.
That's
Yes.
ridiculous. Okay, no, I shouldn't say that. That's amazing, Joy. But you know, 2 years out, fair enough. Two babies. You had the babies back to back. You know, one child after another. That sounds like a difficult place for me. But you should have been rising up the ranks in 18 years with the passion that you're showing me right now, the energy, the thoughts, the, you know, just the vision. You should have risen up the ranks, Crystal. So I don't know. Well, just ask you straight up. Why didn't that happen?
Like everything else, there's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of politics, and unfortunately, it's just like the corporate world. Why are women not in as many leadership positions as men? It's just an unfair, unequal world in that sense. And you know, don't quote me, check statistics, right? And the same stats apply to the nonprofit sector. There's less women in leadership roles. Why is that? I don't know. Again, doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the world, where we still are needing to do some work to find women in leadership roles. And that's where the mom link comes in, Joy. And that's what fires me up about the mom link. If we as women want to live in a world where there's equal opportunities, there's more women in leadership positions, if we want to live in that world, I know I do, let's create the world for ourselves. And how do we do that? Through collaboration, through women linking arms with one another, right? It's through women coming together and truly walking the talk. If we, you know, the idea of women supporting women, it sounds awesome. And I don't think you'll ever find a woman who will say, I don't want that. I don't want a world of women supporting women. There's never going to be a woman who tells you that. But if we want that, Joy, then we have to walk the talk and we have to do it. So, you know, when I host this LinkedIn networking room for female entrepreneurs, it's
Every Thursday.
Thursday. It's not me who's going to build up the room. It's not me who's going to create a space on LinkedIn where the whole LinkedIn world, this is where women show up, where the whole LinkedIn world knows this is where women show up to network. And there's thousands of women in the room, and you leave with connections and collaborations. And now you've just like scaled your business in 1 hour because you've tapped into each other's networks. If we want that, then ladies, We need to walk the talk, and we need to show up and do that and make our own world where women are leading, where
Can
women
can
are
can I
showing up.
just say it? Can I just say that just like you said it with a British accent, of course. So, ladies, if you want that, if you want to create a world where you can just show up and collaborate, Thursday is the place on the LinkedIn network to be, according to Crystal, and she's pretty fierce, isn't she, when she gets going? But there are other platforms that you're on too, because you are like, dare I say it, a social media queen.
Oh,
It's not
no,
just
no,
not
not
just
at all.
LinkedIn that you're on, is it?
No, I'm not the social media queen, but for all entrepreneurs who are listening, you need to be on every platform. Visibility equals credibility. You want your brand to be known to the masses. You want brand awareness. Start collaborating, do lives like Joy and I are doing. You're tapping into each other's networks. This is why women who choose to collaborate is the key to success in business. I truly believe this. When we collaborate, it's free. When we show up on social media platforms, it's free marketing. You can go and pay a radio station $10,000, $15,000 to get a segment on their radio station for the next 12 months. Give me the ROI on that. Or you can, for free, choose to collaborate with another female, and go live once a week on all social media platforms. Tell me what return on investment you're going to have in 12 months. It's going to be mind blowing.
And
You're
it
showing up
sounds
all over the place.
And it sounds really simple, doesn't it, Crystal? Just once a week, show up, do your thing, find someone to collaborate with or do it by yourself when you can. Just get that camera rolling and just talk. I know that uh, people do get very frightened about being on camera. Of course, me and you, we don't have that. We're fortunate. Polish up my badge, but people might not realize, Crystal, watching us talking right now, that the demons that happen just before we get on camera. And, Crystal will tell you that just before we joined here, I looked an absolute state. You wouldn't recognize me. I said, Crystal, I got to go and comb my hair. I got to go and put a little bit of makeup on. This is the thing that women have to go through to turn up. So turning up in itself is really shadowed by a lot of pressure from how a woman has to look, should look, must look. And this whole makeup thing, let's be honest, can stop women going on camera. A simple thing like that can just
I
stop you
know.
going on camera. So I would encourage women in the way that you can tell me what you do, Krista, but what I do, I like pared back the amount of makeup that I put on full stop, so that it can be done in, I don't know, 3-4 minutes, which sounds like a very quick amount of time. My husband's really happy about that. But I don't know how you prepare to show up. And we're talking about like camera, fair enough, but then perhaps also showing up in life, Crystal.
Okay, so I somebody said in the chat there about they loving the honesty. And one of the things that I promised for 2023 is to show up myself, to be so honest that it helps the next woman not feel so alone, that it helps the next woman be, because everybody's like, oh, Crystal, you're not shy to be on camera, you don't get nervous. And some people are so terrified about going live or doing videos like this. And people think like, oh, you're so natural at it, Crystal. Well, I'm used to it because I've had so much practice, because I collaborate once a week and go live, so often. But am I sweating right now? I don't know. I still get nervous, right? I still like, oh, Crystal, you went on a run on sentence. Like, I don't think anybody's immune to, nobody just gets up on here and doesn't have a minute of nervousness or question what they say. I'm still human, right? I'm still a woman who, second guesses myself sometimes, but just
You
push
are so funny there. I thought, what's she doing? An advert for antiperspirant just there. What's she up
just
to?
making sure,
What's she up
like
to? But that's the real honest truth, isn't it? So this whole let's say journey of merging who we are, what we believe in, with some of the realities of life, we have to be prepared to do that. No one's saying you ever have to jump in the deep end all at once. I encourage people just to, you know, literally dip your toe in the water. The water's there, dip it in,
oh,
you know.
Joy, I disagree. I say
Oh,
I'm gonna
honestly,
push
Crystal,
I'm
don't
gonna
be like that.
push them in the deep end. Jump in the deep end. If you can't swim, jump in the deep end. And guess what? It's going to be painful, it's going to be cold, it's going to be wet, you're going to cry and you're going to freak out a little bit. But guess what? The next time, it's not so scary. I'm a rip the Band-Aid off kind of person. Like, rip the Band-Aid off, do it, and then it's over. The anxiety is over. Like, it literally is over, and
You
you get
know what,
comfortable.
Crystal? There's a lot to be said for, in the world of therapy, we call that immersion therapy. You throw someone in the deep end, sink or swim, you know. So, and that can work. And I hear that, that's your attitude. But that sounds just like you, Crystal. I would encourage other people that are not as brave as you to not be put off and to take things slowly. So perhaps if there's a scale of doing things fast, doing things slowly, you can be somewhere on that scale. And I think with this whole thing about emotional intelligence, Crystal, so I'm going to drag that one in. We've got that first level of just self awareness, and that second level about what's happening inside of me, my emotions. Am I able to manage them, to regulate them, to allow them to show when I need them to? And where do I get my motivation from? Which energies am I using to motivate myself? And then this whole thing about empathy. You know, can I sort of like feel what other people are feeling? And human beings can feel that. So, I would just encourage people to notice their own, I suppose, levels of emotional intelligence and what feels comfortable and how you turn up for people. And yeah, Crystal, I must remember not to go to the swimming pool with you when it's 20 foot deep because I'm not a strong swimmer and you're going to push me in.
But Joy, you know what I would do? I would jump in
Yes.
with you, and I would
Oh,
make sure you didn't drown, and I would make sure you felt safe and comfortable. And that's what we do in the Mom Link community. And I may push people outside of their box and comfort zone because I know that will benefit them, and I know that's what they're actually needing. So many women, they want their company name out there. They want to blow up their business. Well, it does require some of these things, and it does require you stepping outside of the box, you stepping outside of your comfortability, you stepping outside of doing things you really actually don't want to do. But if you want that business to get more visibility, then you do need to get your face out there. You need to get your business out there. People
yeah.
need to know who you are, right? But you don't need to do it alone. And that's what the Mom Link is about. You don't need to be doing entrepreneurship alone. Do
And
it
and and
alongside other women.
And can I ask you, Crystal, because, even I know that, yes, I know what I should be doing, I ought to be doing, I must be doing. But when we start to do things, we can be our own worst enemy, can't we? We can sabotage
Mhm.
things without even realizing it. And this whole concept of what beliefs are driving you, what negative self limiting beliefs do you have? So people are very familiar with the language, but it's true. Do you realize the things that you say to yourself every day, every minute, that might actually be undoing all of the good work that you're doing? So I call it like taking 5 steps backwards and then 10 steps, actually, wrong way around. 5 steps forward, 10 steps back, or 2 steps forward and 3 back. Either way, you are making progress. And me and you are flying the flag today. And then we go back and we do things that sabotage it. So we have to work out what are we saying to ourselves, because I know that what we think is the powerhouse of everything, Crystal. You
So
have to
true.
you've had some really strong, powerful thoughts as a young child, growing up into being a young woman, now a fully blown businesswoman. You've had some really powerful thoughts. I just wonder, do you have any particular um, I don't know, proverbs or sayings that you do say to yourself when things are really, really tough?
I call a woman that's a part of my community. That is my solution to when I'm in my own way, when I'm in my own head, when I am self sabotaging or have negative thoughts. I actually just pick up the phone. And I am someone who believes in the power of feedback, honesty, transparency. And to get out of my own head, I'll call a friend or a woman in the Mom Link community and I'll say, Camille, or I'll call Camille or someone and I'll say, oh my goodness, I feel like, this, and I feel like I didn't sound intelligent, or I feel like I made somebody feel this way. And I talk it out. I get what's in here out of my head. And then I talk about it and I get somebody else's perspective, which is usually the more accurate one, because that saying, you can't
Solve a
necessarily
problem.
yeah, you can't necessarily see it when you're in the picture yourself. You
Yeah.
need somebody from the outside looking in. You need somebody else's perspective. And sometimes when you have that and you're able to, share that with somebody who has your best interest in mind, who sees you for who you are, guess what they do? They remind you all of the amazing,
You are
aspects
s
of you,
you are
right?
so right, you are so right, because you have to pick and choose the right people to talk to, and I think that, I have those moments as well. I call them just my the pit, basically. Like, there's, like, peaks and troughs to everything in life. I just know I'm down there, and I have to just decide that it is what it is. I won't die. It doesn't feel great, but I'll come through it
Mhm.
and just kind of just sit there for a bit. And I do, I mope about for a bit. But I think in my head, I've got another powerful thought, which is, that other big saying, this too shall pass, that kind of thinking, basically, Joy, this is not forever. It's just for
And
now.
Joy, do you find that so what I've discovered as of recent, especially in business, I did not know, nobody tells you, so the lulls, the highs and the lows, um, it actually applies to everything in life. So entrepreneurship is the same thing. And that's what I've experienced. Like there's highs where you're at the top of the mountain, but when you're at a top of the mountain, there's only you have to come back down. Then there's a valley and you got to go through the valley, right? But guess what? After that valley, there's another mountain and you got to climb that. And what I realized every time you're in the valley, it means your next level up is about to happen,
I kind of agree with you.
right?
There's something happening when we're in that space where we think this is it. I've had enough. I'm having the worst day ever. For you, what I know, well, for me personally, let's say I know that it's experience of having been at a low and knowing that you survived. And I know our brain, you mentioned about rewiring the brain and this whole concept, Crystal, of neuroplasticity, which is an amazing word, but we have the ability to change the way that we see things by new experiences. Our brains will adapt. They will rewire. So if I've had an experience and I'm going through it second time round, third time round, there's always a part of me that says, Joy, you've been through this before. Yes. So it means you can get through it again. So even in my most lowest moments when I want to climb under the bed and pull the duvet up, it's like, you've been through this before, Joy. Yes. Guess what? You'll get through it again. And I think I become my own best friend. So, you know, I don't always have, I suppose, people around me that I can pick the phone up and say, oh, by the way, this is what's happening to me. And sometimes I keep my own counsel. I do. I'm very much like that. So I talk to myself. I'm my own best friend. And I think you can't go wrong by being your own best friend. And you've got children, other people have got children. I had a son, he's no longer here. But you have to remind yourself, what would I have said to them? What would I say to them? I wouldn't scold them or shout at them or tell them that they're stupid or anything else. I say, oh well, we'll get there. Don't worry, we'll try again. And you have to become that inner voice of reassurance. Crystal, we've so gone off the mark here. What is wrong with us here? Honestly,
You know
we've
what, Joy?
gone down
Can
a
I
rabbit
just
hole, haven't we?
I want to say when you talked about rewiring the brain, I think as female entrepreneurs, and I use female entrepreneurs because that's my community, but I realize we're always trying to learn something new. And sometimes I think we need to pause and instead of trying to learn something new, we focus on unlearning something we want to get rid of. And that applies, when we talked about the collaboration over competition, it was about unlearning that competitive nature and actually, so we can be open to learning the new way, which is collaboration. So sometimes we need to focus on more of the unlearning to get back up that mountain and not we'll go back into a valley back into a low again because that's just how life is, but we won't go back into that same valley. We'll just be able to go into a new one
I
and
love that.
new
I
learning.
love that idea of unlearning things. Unlearning things. And when we look at these words like, I don't know, reframing things and installing new thoughts, all these other words, but basically, just have another thought. I just say have another thought. And that's it. And that's exactly what you said. Unlearn an old thought, but even just ditch it and replace it with something else. So you do learn, and learning is interesting because people, that phrase I think is quite powerful. Unlearn something.
Unlearn
Crystal, I
something.
think you might be a therapist on the quiet. I really do. I really
Unlearn
do.
something that's holding you back, I guess, right?
That's holding you back. So when we look at this whole notion then of, emotional intelligence and the different levels of it, Crystal, that I've described, the end part is, I'll go through it again. So self-awareness. Okay, within that, then we have the emotions. Are we understanding our own emotions and how to handle it? And can we control like a thermostat, can we control the height of it? Can we use that emotion to motivate us as well? And then when we're around people, can we use that empathy and understand, or at least put ourselves in their shoes sometimes, and how would they feel about this? And that it then becomes the bedrock of every social interaction with someone else. I think if I were to give you some gold stars, Crystal, to make you feel really good, I've just described 5 areas. I'm going to give you 5 gold stars. Tick, 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 and then the other 2, tick, tick. Because you wouldn't be able to rally so many people around you in the way that you do without having those 5 boxes ticked. You couldn't, especially the empathy part.
You know what? That comes from the nonprofit sector I worked in. I didn't realize the skills that it gave me to be an incredible entrepreneur. I didn't realize that my 18 years working in the nonprofit sector really did give me that emotional intelligence ability to build community. And I believe, I think to be a successful community builder, and in today's day, if you want to build a business where you have, clients coming through your door, you do have to have a pretty high level of emotional intelligence. You need to understand, and this is a very powerful statement that I live and walk by: nothing for us without us. And I say this to women in business all the time. If you want to service a population of people, or if you want to service your clients, have you asked them how they want to be served? Have you included them in the building stages of the program that you're building to serve them with? Have you included them in that? And we take this in the nonprofit sector. Why? Because who am I to build a support group for people living with HIV if I'm not including people living with HIV in the building of that program? And so when you apply that in business, the same rule applies. Don't build a business for people that you want to serve without including them in the process, right? And when you're able to do that, that requires that emotional intelligence to know the people that you're trying to service, how they're feeling, how they're receiving, how you're serving them. Like, you need to be aware of those things.
Oh, Crystal, you're saying all the magical words there. And I worked in a non-profit myself for a very short time, but there's a mental health organization in the UK called Mind. So I worked for one of their local mental health organizations. And I remember that we were always creating different events and stuff. And we were trying to get we called them the service users, but it's a strange word, but it's the community of people who we were serving, trying to get them to be involved, which can be hard. It can be hard because I think we forget that the energy that me and you can show right now, real time on this show, a lot of people don't have that. And that's probably why we're representing them. And when we're trying to get them involved, we have to try and engender that energy in them, So, but their opinion matters because they're the people that we're doing the work for. So common sense says go back and find out from them what they want. And as business owners, fast forward into the business world, you're right, we forget to do that. I've created courses in the past, all about me, all in my head, what I want it to be, what I want it to, does anybody want it? No. It's all about me. I haven't asked Crystal, what do you think about this? Should I include it? So this idea again about getting feedback, even when it comes to writing books, lots of writers now, they will collaborate with their community and say, what do you think about chapter 1 or chapter 2 or chapter 3? So that you're almost creating, it feels like cheating, but you're creating something that somebody wants. And the person at the end goes, how did you know this? Because you told me.
Isn't it great?
What is that?
It
Simple as
is.
that, Crystal. So when it comes back to the mum link as well, for me, I do ask the question sometimes, Crystal, do we need another female network? Now, don't shoot me. I've said it. Do we need another female network, Crystal?
Yes. Yes, because I'll tell you, because MomLink is unique and there's something that sets MomLink apart. And I'll tell you what that is. There's a couple things. Number one of our pillars and our values is no gatekeeping. What do I mean by no gatekeeping? I do not believe it benefits me or you if I withhold any secret information of what made me successful. If I withhold any lessons learned. So there's no gatekeeping. I believe in leave that door open. If I know something, if I learned a little simple trick, hit or hack or something, I'm going to share it with the next woman. Why? Because when I share it with the next woman, A, it feels good to pay it forward and help the next woman out because I wish somebody would have shared that with me sooner. B, what else does it do? It makes me practice my craft. It makes me practice what I just learned. So now I'm even getting better at what the new trick or hack that I learned. And so that's one of the things that sets MomLink apart is no gatekeeping. We are not just a community that provides you with the education, resources, and tools you need to launch, scale, grow your business, but we also have a CRM system. I don't even want to call it a CRM system. It,
This is your new secret weapon, Crystal.
it is.
I should have a drum here and do some drum rolls here
It
because this is
is.
literally like a week. I was on your summit, must be a week ago. It was recent.
Yes, yes.
This is
We
new.
just
This
brought
is
in
new.
a game-changing tool into our community. So when you purchase a membership with the MomLink community, not only do you get a community of women who are there to see you win, support you, you get education through all our master classes, you get all the resources, tools you need to build your business. But the biggest game changer is MomLink purchased an all-in-one business management software system.
Wow.
And we've embedded that in our membership program. So, in case for whoever is listening or watching this replay, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you'll know when I say who's using a Calendly, who's using Hootsuite, who is using Kajabi, who is using all these different systems to operate your business, and you have to go all over the place, and you're paying, 7 different accounts. What if I told you there's one system where everything is done inside of one system to manage your clients, your potential clients, to manage your business? That's what the Mom Link is, really unique. So, do we need another female community? Oh, yes, we do. We need Mom Link. Which is unique, but I believe we do need more female communities. We need to continue to build these communities so we can start to change the world that we live in. So we can start creating, it goes back to what I said, Joy. I don't know, are we going to change the world at large to have equal opportunities for women? I think we can if we create more of these communities, if we continue to walk the talk and create our own small little worlds that we live inside that have women in these leadership positions and women building successful businesses.
Okay. And then longer term, Crystal, because you know what? I'm all for female-led initiatives, but in my former life, I did a lot of work with men, emotional health for men, basically. And I always feel that I don't like this them and us that's been set up, but we didn't set it up. I'm not going to say that women set this up. It's the way the world has been working and you're trying to change it. But I'm sure I've got a lot of men who are in the feed as well watching this too. We keep saying it's a man's world, but there are a lot of inequities amongst men. It would be good if they perhaps did some kind of initiatives, a bit like yours. Not necessarily, it won't be the dad's link, but it will be something that's by men for men, because this equal opportunity thing, we do have different inequities happening in life. Okay, women were, down the list somewhere, and it gets color, and then it gets disability. There's all these inequities in life, and that's probably why I said, does the world need another female-led group? I mean, I know the answer is yes, but I'd like men watching to not be jealous. Don't be jealous. Start up your own things too, and collaborate with men, or there'll be joint ones. There are joint groups as well, not a problem there. But women have had to step outside of they've had to step outside of the fray and work out how do we want to work and collaborate together. And when I came up with the idea for just the title for today's show with you, Crystal, it was around this idea about feminine energy, feminine energy and masculine energy, and they are different. Nothing, we've got both in us. Men have got both in them too. And perhaps it's just understanding that perhaps the masculine energy is that energy that gets things done now, now, now. Women are naturally nurturers. We bring that to the table. A lot of men do too. So perhaps there's something about us eventually not having all this separateness. It won't have to be all these tiny separate worlds. But I don't know, women perhaps will always want their own space because we like to have a good old natter, as men say. Perhaps we'll always want our own space. It's male, it's women's talk,
But yeah,
female
I
talk.
think, I think any community should do the same. I think men should do the same as well. I think men should choose collaboration over competition, and maybe they can start their own, community for men in business. And I don't think it's about separating, uh, you know, and creating your own world for women and your own world for men. I just think women go through things that men don't, and men can't understand, and men go through things that women can't understand, right? And you touched on one of the things right there. I think um, women are, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think women have more emotional intelligence most of the time than men. And is that bad, Joy, to say? I'm sorry. And so I think women experience things different, right? And men experience things different. And I think there's competition amongst men as well. And maybe they should start a dad's link and choose collaboration over competition. So I would love to see that.
You are absolutely funny. You are. So, Joy, can we really say that? Oh, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask the audience. They're going to have to put some stuff in the comments there so we can
I know.
see exactly what they think about that
We need to
statement.
create a
Really,
poll.
really and truly. But okay. I'm going to take on board what that question. Are women more emotionally intelligent than men? Okay. I am going to sit on the fence. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to say
I want to know. Yeah, let's do a
50-50.
poll.
I'm going to say 50-50. Okay. We'd have to do a poll. Exactly. But I would say that women have been biologically set up to do a lot of nurturing. Okay,
Mhm.
because we literally do have the baby and hold the baby. I know men do have a role, a part to play in that as well, but women are nurturers. And I think that's the part of us which might be a quick win, empathy, I don't know, self-awareness, social skills. Okay, we might have a bit of a head start on that, but I think men do that. And I've met a lot of men, and you probably have too, who are equally as emotionally intelligent as me and you
Absolutely.
are. And I don't
Yes.
claim to be the best at it. I just know what the different 5 elements of it are, and I keep practicing it because self-awareness. That's what I noticed with you, Crystal. There's a huge amount of self-awareness there and a huge amount of honesty, the transparency and the honesty that you just say, Joy, this is the way I am, blah, blah, blah.
You,
Things
you
aren't
know,
perfect, but you know what? No,
you know
no
what?
one's perfect.
You know what, Joy? I think actually one of the things that I'm trying to unlearn, actually, I'm very self-aware. I'm very aware of other people's emotional experiences to the point where I think sometimes it holds me back. I actually sometimes do a lot of I ruminate a little bit because I'm always worried about how I may have impacted somebody else. So I'm like, oh, did I say something? I just go back and I think I'm so in tune with other people's emotions that I overthink it and I take it onto my own shoulders. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but I do this oftentimes. I'm always, it won't let me sleep at night because I'm like, oh, I may have said something that impacted Joy, and then I'll probably call you up, Joy, and be like, Joy, I feel, and you know what the response most of the time is like, no, Crystal, I wasn't even thinking about that at all. And I spent days upon days worried about how I may have impacted somebody, or if I didn't make somebody feel comfortable, or if I didn't make them feel seen or heard, like I take that on. So that's something I'm trying to unlearn, actually.
That's a good thing, though. Crystal, don't lose that. That's part of
You know
you,
what?
or you.
I
It's part of your humanity. It's part of what makes you actually very, very special. And when you get involved in the world of helping people, you need to have that. You need to care. You
Yes,
care.
yes, you
You
do.
care.
Yes,
You
yes.
care. Okay. So what we're talking about, everything in life is about a scale. I would say like 1 to 10. So and everything can switch into being not a superpower. So your ability to love and to care for people and to really like be concerned, scale of 1 to 10, yeah. One, don't care at all. Like Joy, don't know who you are, not bothered. Okay. 10, Joy, I know what you are. I actually think I can guess what you're like. I want to make sure that you're okay, Joy. That's 10. That's an extreme. So we've got two extremes. And I suppose people go up and down that all the time. But I
Mhm.
suppose recognizing when you've gone past when it's no longer serving you. So it might just be halfway. You might know when you've gotten past 5, going into 6, and you think, well, actually, now I'm worrying about Joy to the point where I'm not actually doing any of my work. I've missed a client because I'm still thinking about Joy. In fact, I've forgotten to feed the children because I'm actually still thinking about Joy. You know, of course, you can see that it's become, it's holding you back. So I think we have to temper as well what's happening for us there too. But you care. I'd say that's not a bad thing.
I love that.
It's a
I
good
love that.
thing.
It is a scale, and you're right. I think it's just being more aware of when my superpower. And it's funny. I did a Reiki session, and I said, okay, I want to get rid of my. I constantly ruminate on it, and over this, and uh, the lady said to me, she's like, Crystal, this isn't a bad thing. This is actually a gift. She's like, you deeply think about others' experiences, and not everybody in the world has that gift to be able to think, put themselves in other people's shoes or think about other people. But I think you're right, Joy, when you talk about the scale. I just need to recognize when my superpower goes above the 10, where my superpower is working against me instead of with me and for me and for
Yeah, I think it's the time when you take the cape off and put it in the wash, put your feet up and have a cup of tea. Okay, Crystal, that's all I can say. Just put the cape away, please, now. So we have about 3 minutes, 4 minutes left, Crystal, and I want you to remind everybody about the next initiative that's happening for Mums Link. The next thing that's going to happen for the next 6 months, and what you'd like to encourage them to do if they want to up level their skills. We're talking to women at the moment, men. I'm so sorry about that. But, I'm sure we're encouraging you to start your own communities, special communities too, where you help each other. And then we'll have one where we're all together at some point. The world will go that way. But right now, this is the way it is, guys. So, Crystal, yes, what's the next move for the Mums Link?
Well, I'd say the very first move, I'd love for people to join us on LinkedIn on Thursdays, 1 p.m. EST. We host a networking room. And here's something really cool for all the listeners. Yes, we were created by moms. We're not just for moms, though. So I want to make that clear to everybody. We are called the Mom Link because I'm a mom and the company was created by moms. But we are for any female identifying entrepreneur. And here, and you're going to like this, Joy, men are welcomed as well, right? We are a community for women supporting women. Our private membership community is just for female identifying entrepreneurs. But on our LinkedIn Connect and Collab, we collaborate and connect, and men show up as well. There's a part to play. There's a role to play for men to support women, to connect, to collaborate. So that happens in our LinkedIn room. So all are welcome. So that's my first call to action for everybody. Let's build a space and place where we can speed up connecting and collaborating and making new connections on LinkedIn. Because I don't know about you, Joy, but on LinkedIn, you can make wonderful connections, right? But it takes a minute. You got to, follow someone, you engage with them, you send them a back channel message, you attend their audio room, and maybe after 3 months, you've really connected with that person. Well, Mom Link on LinkedIn, what we do through our networking rooms is we bring you up on stage, and within 1 hour, people are leaving the room with a new connection. They've set up, a podcast with that person. They set up a collaboration. So, long-winded answer: show up on Thursdays for LinkedIn. I got off track for LinkedIn. Our audio rooms, which is a networking room. The next big thing that we're launching a 12-week cohort training program for our all-in-one business management system. There is only room for 25 women. Actually, we've already have our first 5 women who have joined this cohort program. So, like I said earlier, we brought in a all-in-one business management software system that is a part of our membership program, and 25 women who purchased that system with the mom link are actually getting hand over hand 12-week intensive training on how to utilize this. So if you don't know how to build a funnel, you're going to learn it, and you're going to get the funnel, and you're going to get the system. If you don't know how to create a, set up your email automation, if you don't know how to create a workflow or a website, you're going to learn all of this in this 12-week cohort program launching in the fall. We have 20 spots left. So my call to action, if you're a female entrepreneur, you need to get organized in business. You want to get rid of the chaos. You don't want to pay tens of thousands of dollars to pay somebody to do this for you. Come over to the mom link, hit the link in my bio. Send me a message here on LinkedIn or any platform.
This is a businesswoman extraordinaire. Call to action. She made it look so easy, didn't she? Yes, we're definitely over time by about a minute. But yes, Crystal, I heard you. That was beautifully done. I am watching you and I'm also learning. And I did want to ask you one quick question before we do, because you are the bake sale queen and you've got your mojo back. How do you make a lovely, like, fairy cake, Madeira sort of fairy cake? How'd you do that?
Oh my goodness. Joy, I can't bake.
What do you mean you can't bake? You're the bake sale queen.
Joy, I'm a wonderful cook. I'm an amazing cook, but I'm the worst baker. I am a true entrepreneur and true activist. I do not follow the rules. I do not follow instructions, and what makes me an awful
Terrible
baker.
cook. Yeah, well, a good cook, but a very, very terrible baker. I get it. I get it. Okay. Well, I had to put you on the spot. I told you that I might do so. Thank you for being game for all of that. And
Always
I just want
honest.
I want to encourage you all just to, do connect with my guest and connect with me on LinkedIn. You know where we are. I'm Joy. I am an emotional intelligence coach and also therapist. So this is my space. And I've got my own 3-hour course coming up on the 22nd of July as well. So please contact me if you're interested in finding about how you can up level your emotional intelligence to be just like Crystal. I should have just done simply on my sales page, be like Crystal. I would have sold that instantly. That's what I'm thinking, Crystal.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, bring it to an end. We're 2 minutes over, which is scandalous, scandalous, scandalous. Crystal, we'll catch up again. Been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for just letting me be silly and the way that I am sometimes. And we'll catch up again. And thank you all for listening.
Yes, thank
Appreciate
you,
you
Joy.
listening too. You know where to find us. We've got all these links like rolling round. You've got Crystal's link rolling round. But come to LinkedIn, look for us. You will find us. Simple as that. So have a good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. And we'll all catch up very, very soon. And Crystal, thank you. Now go off and feed those kids. They must be starving.
Thank
Absolutely
you, Joy.
starving.
This
Yeah.
was amazing. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. See you.